Walls are bound to crumble, and to the floor the spears will fall. I've been made and sealed with love, but time to battle, I'll find them all. I felt the whips and remember chains, but my sword has been forged by my father's flames. Fight your fears and heal your pain, and victory will be in your name.
I used to be weak, but I'm not weak no more. I found the strength of my ancestors deep down in my African core. I used to be frightened
by my father's flame.
I'm not afraid no more. The Father blessed me with the heart of a lion and a warrior soul. So no weapon that form against I shall not prevail. And no man that rise against I, that war they shall never win. 'Cause I will conquer, oh I will conquer. Yes I will conquer, conquer them. Come on, let's conquer, oh I will conquer. Rise up and conquer, conquer them.
Tell them no retreat, no surrender. I shall fight till the end of days. I was born as a Makai warrior, and the Almighty God my blade. Fire burn all Satan carrier. Father loose all shackles and chain. This morning first thing as I wake up, King David told Sam to the brain. Don't let your courage go down, keep it up. And if your heart rip up and stitch it up, don't let your faith them fall, pick it up. When my cup was empty, God fill it up. Don't take the devil contract, rip it up. And if your bad mind people to go meet it up, pass me the Congo drum and let me beat it up. God on my side, me no give it up.
So no weapon that form against I shall not prevail. And no man that rise against I, that war they shall never win. 'Cause I will conquer, oh I will conquer. Yes I will conquer, conquer them. Come on, let's conquer, oh I will conquer. Rise up and conquer, conquer them.
Thank you, Father. I want to say thank you, Lord. You are everything, Father. Thank you.
Father, you alone shall guide me. No man shall lead my path. In the wind I hear your quiet whispers, and you heal my broken heart. Even some of my friends turn enemies, and they pray for right to feel. And remember you gave us your only begotten son, but we gave him the wound of lies. Send down your warriors with the hello, be carried on to the end of days. No matter how the devil try trick me, unto you my soul I will give. Father, I know this storm is coming. I can see the high tide raise. Without you there is no other. Could it be that we decide?
No weapon that form against I shall not prevail. No man that rise against I, that war they shall never win. 'Cause I will conquer, oh I will conquer. Yes I will conquer, conquer them. Come on, let's conquer, oh I will conquer. Rise up and conquer, conquer them.
I am a man. I am a champion. I am a warrior. So who are you to tell me that I cannot make? Who are you to tell me that I am not the greatest thing that God ever created?
Good morning, Grenada, Carriacou, and P.T. Martinique. You're listening to Hard Talk Grenada. A very special good morning to those of you joining us on 97.5 CitysoundFM, 89.5 CRFM, 92.9 Sister Isle Radio broadcasting from Hillsborough, Carriacou, and of course 94.9 We Noise Radio out there in Brooklyn, New York. Of course, a very special good morning to those of you joining us on the live videos, whether it's on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, wherever it is you are. Good morning to you. A special good morning to those of you, my regulars, Betty, Delma, Rennie, good morning to all of you. It's always a pleasure having you. To the boys on the carnage, and make sure they call every morning to give me words of inspiration. Good morning to you guys. I really do appreciate it. All right. This morning in studio with me, I have none other than Mr. Roland Bola. Good morning, Mr. Bola.
Good morning to you, Miss Duncan, and good morning to all our listeners out there. It is again an awesome pleasure to be here with you to share information.
All right. Well, we have a lot to talk about because, of course, we're coming out of a very... Well, my weekend was kind of quiet. So I can't say packed weekend. A kind of quiet weekend, but of course, we had our National Day of Prayer yesterday, and I'm hoping that all of our listeners, all of our viewers did participate in their own faith in the National Day of Prayer. Mr. Bola, how was your prayerful day?
Oh, prayer for me is every day. I say we need God at all times, but I believe that the initiative taken by government and, of course, the churches, because it was not just government. I recalled very early when we got a national address from our Prime Minister. He did mention the fact that an invitation was already sent out to the churches, asking them to organize among themselves and to decide which day will be best for a National Day of Prayer. So it was something in the making for a little while, and it came to fruition yesterday, and I thought it was an excellent thing to do. I listened to part of the afternoon prayer. I think it came live. Mm-hmm. I don't know if other parts of the morning came live as well, yes. But I saw that afternoon part, which was being steered or chaired or whatever you want to say by our brother Defon Rocher. And, I seriously listened to some of the pastors. I didn't get all of it, but I thought when they prayed, they sounded very sincere. And I hope that the Grenadian people did take an opportunity or populace to at least for whatever time of day, whatever moment you had. Many of us do pray periodically. Some do it in the morning, some at night, some both morning and night. Some of us at various times during the day. But yesterday presented an excellent opportunity to continue doing what you were doing, or if you never did, to start, or if you did, to do more, and do it very sincerely, because we're a nation of Christian people that believes in God. Doesn't matter whichever church we go to, evangelical, Protestant, or regular. I mean, there's so many names that they call these churches these days. What is important, we all serve the same God, I believe, yes? And so we have been very fortunate as a people. And we need to count our blessings, but be thankful, most importantly, for it. We have had thus far 21 or 22 cases of the COVID-19.
Yep, 22.
22 cases.
The latest being the
8-year-old girl. Yes. But thus far, no deaths. And we have to give thanks and praise to God. While we need to acknowledge the selfless efforts made by our medical personnel, especially those in the front line, our policemen and women, or the Royal Grenada Police Service, they have been trying to keep the peace, or religious leaders, or public in general, for adhering to all of the protocols, to our government, the minister, prime minister, for continuing to take the lead and to guide. And in times when the going gets tough and when it appears as though there was no solution in sight, and we wondered from whence our help will come, our government was there to steer that ship and to give us hope. And so for all of that, we need to continue to say thank you. So what I do hope, Mr. Duncan, is that while we had an excellent day yesterday, when so many churches came together. Many pastors prayed for various things, various aspects of our lives here. While all of that was done, we as a people should take example from it and continue the prayers time and time again. Maybe one of the things that the government can look at, and a suggestion that can go forward, is we can use the same date, same time.
Regularize it.
Regularize it to have that once per year, you know. Every year you declare this particular day. Maybe they want to choose another day, I don't know. I'm just trying it. I was sitting there yesterday in the afternoon and listening to all of these pastors, you know, and the thought just hit me that maybe this should be annual. I know there's a lot of things that are happening already as it relates to that, and we have in October when we have national service for Thanksgiving Day, you know, and everything. We need to continue to give thanks. I mean, Grenada cannot do as well as it is doing. Even in the worst of times, even when our economy will have a negative, our people are still where they may come and they're not sure where the next meal is coming from. But in a general sense, people can find food in Grenada to eat.
Yeah.
If not of their own pocket, a friend, a neighbor, or a relative helps to provide.
Yeah.
And so we have to be cognizant that there is a power and so greater than what you and I as humans can give, that is there looking, protecting, assisting us, and giving thanks and praise is absolutely important. And so I commend and credit government 100%, credit the churches and the organizers and the people who participated. I hope that the prayers of yesterday has been able to touch the lives of many, and that those whose lives has been touched, that they will join the forces and become a prayer warrior, not just for themselves and their family, but for Grenada.
Absolutely, and I'm very proud of people for participating in something that was meant to benefit, because we're not all prayer warriors,
We are not all.
Some of us still at this point don't really know how to pray or understand how to pray, and of no fault of ours. You know, everybody is blessed with different gifts, and to have someone leading us, to have someone praying on our behalfs, and we are all in agreement, I think that was the main purpose of yesterday. Although you had the few who still in such a solemn moment, in such a prayerful moment, still played politics, which was it was very disturbing, and I'm disappointed that we still at this point don't know how to separate the two, you know. And I always say, not because you don't agree or you don't like with government, not everything they do is bad, you know. Not everything that they do you have to poke holes in. So yesterday we found situations where people were making comments along the line of being forced into Christianity, and you had people making comments along the lines of government trying to force the churches to do what they want them to do. And I mean, these were real comments from real people in Grenada, and it's very saddening to know that we still have people with that sort of mindset. And I remember very, very distinctly in the press conference on Friday that the minister would have made mention of other denominations. You may not be Catholic, you may not be evangelical, you may not be, you may be Muslim, you know, you may be a Baptist, whatever it may be, whatever your denomination is. The fact of the matter is we worship and serve one living God. So however you choose to serve your God, yesterday was that day when we all in agreement, in one voice, praying for that one thing together. And that is what yesterday was supposed to be about, you know. So for people to take that and to play politics with it, it's very disappointing. And it just shows us that people would go to extreme levels, extreme lengths, you know, just to get their political opinion in. So yesterday, I must say that it was a very, very important day, you know, for us as a people. It was a milestone for us as a people, where we could utilize technology, where religions and congregations could come together as one for that one purpose in that one time, you know, and for us to achieve this great thing. It's a stepping stone for us, you know, as a nation and as a people.
Well, Ms. Duncan, not everyone saw it that way. And so I am a little disappointed in you for being disappointed in some people. Because we have seen it. History has shown us constantly in this country. We don't all share the same philosophy politically.
Yeah.
We don't support the same party. But I oftentimes want to think that we want the best for our people, irrespective of which party we support. That's what I want to believe. But sometimes I get a doubt in my mind, such as yesterday and the comments that you were hearing. The people who are trying to politicize and take things out of context, way out of the box. And you have to get out of the box from time to time. But I don't know where they got that impression from, because from nothing said by government or the Prime Minister in his speech suggested that if you're not Christian, that you had to become a Christian on the 17th. Nothing from what was said or done did force anyone, if they didn't feel like participating. The churches was asked to do this on behalf of the country.
Yeah.
The leaders of the various denominations knew what it was and knew what was expected. Discussions was held, meetings and planning and so on. They selected who would lead the charge and who would do what. It was all democratically or voluntarily done.
Yeah.
There was nothing forced. No one was threatened to be thrown in jail or to be kicked out of the country if they did not participate as a religious leader.
Yeah.
It was all up to them. This thing was or should be yesterday's activity something that people should have been longing for. An opportunity when we can, for a moment during the day, for an hour, for a half an hour, put everything else aside and say, thank you, Lord, for being good to us.
And he has been good to us.
And he has been. And he has been good to all Grenadians.
Yeah.
Not just those of us who are supportive of the new National Party, or those who may be supportive of the NDC, or those who may be supporting someone else or some other party. He has been good to us across the board.
Yes.
The blessings that he has bestowed did not fall on the housetop of NNP people only, or on the families of NDC people only. It was shared. I don't think that God looked at color or political support. And so for one small moment, we should all be happy to say, for this half hour, let me give it up in reverence for Grenada.
Yep.
The Grenada that we talk about, that we say we love.
Yes.
The Grenadian people that we say we're going to fight. I struggle politically to assist. But we thought we had to politicize the idea of having a day of prayer with various hours in the day being scheduled for us to just kneel or stand or reverence the Lord and say, thank you, Father, for what you have done for us so far. And thank you for what you will continue to do for us. And bless this country, O God, and its people, its leaders, because the Bible itself speaks to that we should pray for our leaders, whether we like them or not, and do it sincerely, because the decisions that they take is going to affect us one way or the other, in a good way or a bad way. It will either create more advantages for us in whatever we do or disadvantages. So we need to pray sincerely for them.
Yes.
When the time comes for us to make another choice, we choose who we would like to see. So we vote, and we vote according to what we want and the party of our choice. But yesterday was not for that. Yesterday was not about elections. Yesterday was not about vote. Yesterday was about Grenada, its people, the workers, the people who have been there from the time COVID came around, preparing documentation, going on talk shows, telling people what the protocols were, giving them updates as to what the WHO and PAHO and the regional organizations have been saying, telling people what will be acceptable and what will not, what will save their lives and prevent them from catching COVID, and if they do happen, what the signs and symptoms were, and the protocols that they should follow if that happened. Yesterday was the day for us to thank God for these people who selflessly, without even thinking about their own family and their well-being, gave the time up day after day after day to ensure that Grenada and its people did not suffer at the hands of COVID-19. I mean, the United States, which we talk about all the time, is right there. The news is on our television tubes every day. Over 80,000 people have already died. And people are still dying on a daily basis. The hospitals are overwhelmed. The medical workers, the medical staff, a couple of weeks ago, one nurse would have committed suicide because she told her father she just could not deal with it anymore, looking at people dying. There was one who described the hospital as a conveyor belt, that one die this hour and in another hour somebody else take that bed, because people are just there lining up to get an opportunity to be hospitalized. We have been fortunate not to be in a situation as deadly, as critical, and as bad as that. And we have someone to thank. Yes, we have to give credit to all of those who have been working extremely hard through difficult times, making tough decisions, ensuring that we adhere to the rules and regulations that was formed. So that takes in everyone, the medical staff, the police, the government, the Minister for Health, his team, everybody. But they got the strength from a higher being. And yesterday was dedicated as a time to say, thank you, Lord, for what you have done for us. So those who are trying to politicize it, to make it sound as though the government is pushing things down people's throats, that the government is wanting to decide when we should pray, absolutely not. This is pure nonsense. It is about the government, because this thing didn't just come the morning and everybody had to fall in line by afternoon and get it done. For many months or many weeks,
it's been planned. And I want to cut you there for the people who don't know what I'm talking about, for the people who think that we were just talking in general. This actually had to deal with a specific group of people who, on the day of prayer, on the day designated for prayer, where they should be on their knees thanking God for the fact that COVID-19 has not inserted itself into our society and wreaked havoc, and that we are only experiencing the minor effects of the virus. These people took to social media yesterday, and I'm going to read to you the post of one of those individuals, because somebody sent it to me and they were very upset that in this time that this could happen, and I think it's necessary for us to read it to the population, so you guys know the people that you're dealing with. Sometimes we talk a lot in code. I don't want to say in code, but we don't say in outright what somebody has said and why we choose to take this road of conversation. But let me share with you something that somebody posted yesterday. A very well-known activist of the National Democratic Congress, and I'll read it for you here. It reads, "I am getting angry over the insertion into the religious life of this country by Dr. Keith Mitchell and Pastor Emlyn Pay." That's how it begins. And it follows, "The back-to-back 15-0 victories by the new National Party and the emergence of COVID-19 does not give the government any right to well, I'm reading it exactly as it's written there, so if there's any error in syntax, please, it is not me. Any right to supremacy over our churches. The Constitution provides for the separation of powers between the government of the day and religion. We need to tell Dr. Keith Mitchell and Pastor Emlyn, who runs a small church in Grenville, to stop using the cover of COVID-19 to set operating guidelines and rules for our churches to prove the might of the government. The Catholic Church in particular is an institution that takes orders from Rome and not Mount Royal or the Botanical Gardens. Our church leaders are sensible and intelligent enough to know what the current situation calls for in administering the word of God to the flock. Please withdraw the religious protocols in which the government wants to take control of religion in the country. The revolution tried that and was destroyed 4.5 years later. Now, this is the post that has many upset. Even I myself am very, very, very disappointed in this post. And I'll read to you guys the protocols. Now, first of all, the fact that the government, our leadership, is collaborating with and taking guidance from, and I want to stress on guidance because I myself spoke to the Minister of Religious Affairs, who is Minister Emlyn Pear. She is the Minister for Religious Affairs, which means that it is within her powers, under her jurisdiction, that she collaborate with churches, right, to discuss how they move forward. Now, you can't just say, okay, church is open and we trust that the pastors would do what they need to do in order to keep people from getting infected. It doesn't work like that. There must be guidelines set in order for this thing to work properly. Now, from speaking with her, what I understand is that the conference of churches, along with that ministry, sat and agreed upon. So it was not the government saying, these are the guidelines that you guys should follow them because we say so. That is not what happened. All right? It was a collective agreement between the Conference of Churches and the government of Grenada that these guidelines are suffice, that these guidelines are applicable, and that these are the guidelines that they would use. So when I hear these or read these nonsense comments on the day that should be designated for prayer, y'all still continue to beat bacchanal. And sometimes we wonder why things happen certain ways in our country. And then you wonder why your party cannot prosper. Well, clearly we can see why.
But you see, the protocol that are put in place, which was jointly agreed to by the religious leaders and government, is not to dictate to the churches what to do. They are placed there as guide for the people who will be attending these church services wherever you go, Catholic, Anglican, Seventh-day Adventist, it doesn't matter. The government did not say, well, this church cannot open and that one should, or you of this denomination should close and this one should open up. The protocols are saying, look, if you are going to cause people to congregate again to give thanks and praise, these are the regulations you should follow. Make sure that they are seated in a manner that the physical distance is between people. Because we know the health experts have said to us repeatedly, this is how you can catch the virus. And these are the things you must do to ensure a certain degree of safety from catching the virus.
Yeah.
So wearing a mask, telling and reminding and asking the church leaders to have these things affixed inside the church building is not dictating to them and playing God. Mm-hmm. Telling the churches that you must have a room ready should someone, during the process of having your service, start exhibiting signs, start feeling sick, where you can isolate them until health people come. How is that bad? Telling the churches, listen, if you have people of a certain age that have predisposed conditions already, these are the protocols you should take to try to protect them and ensure that they are safe. Come on. We don't kick everything in the road for a ball.
Yeah.
We may kick a gospel, and a mango, but we don't kick big stones. So stop kicking everything into the political arena. Be sensible. Of course, Grenadians are sensible. They know the difference between right and wrong. And they know when a government is out to protect and safeguard their own lives and when a government is putting in draconian laws.
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with controlling churches. It is about safeguarding the people of Grenada. And you know what? If the government sits idle by and doesn't put certain protocols in place, doesn't ensure that certain parameters are set so that people can remain safe, and we start coming down like some countries with hundreds of sick people, and we overwhelm the health system, and we don't have sufficient protective gear for all our nurses and doctors, and everything is stretched to the limit. These are the same people that will be out there shouting, oh, this government is not worth it. If they did this and if they did that before, and why did they allow that to happen? These are the people. And that's why I've said repeatedly from time memorial that it is not the noise in the market that is about leadership. Leadership is about keeping calm, knowing the facts, and making sure that you take prudent decisions for the benefit of your people.
Of course.
And despite what you say on Facebook or wherever you go in the market square, you go wherever and say, this administration is going to listen to expert advice, is going to do things because they expect the results of what they do to be worthy and to be safeguarding the lives of Grenadian people, and to ensure that we do not put ourselves and our country and our economy and our workers in the health system under undue duress and stress.
Of course. And let me outline for those of you who have not heard the protocols, and you be the judge yourself, whether it is dictatorship that's happening here or if it is bare guidelines to help churches go through the process of opening their doors again for the people who want to or who need to have that to congregate, with their own. And it reads, the first is to complete and submit an online application form for the reopening of the church at least 3 days before the scheduled reopening date. A permit, which will be provided by email before the reopening, must be printed and displayed on the door of the church during each session. Calculate the number of attendees to be allowed in the building. The measurement to be used is 36 square feet per person. All right? That would be 6 by 6, so 6 on either side, front and back as well. 6 feet on either side, front and back as well, right? Using the seating space, markers must be used on the benches and chairs, and the benches and chairs must be placed in no less than 6 feet in every direction. Provide for each service appropriate facilities and adequate supplies, not limited to but including hand washing facilities, running water, soap, paper towels, hand sanitizers, and disinfectant. A sanitizing station must be set up close to the door for people entering and leaving the building. Establish a separate room in the building or in another location to accommodate an individual or individuals who become sick during service, displaying any COVID-19 symptoms, until they can safely leave to seek medical attention. Establish visible signs, notices, encouraging members to observe the protocols and practices to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Share protocols and expectations with all members before the date of reopening. Limit gatherings to 1 day per week in the first instance. An additional day will be allowed for special liturgical services and regular weekday services. All other weekly activities or services must be conducted remotely at this time. Ensure that all people entering the building are wearing a mask and that it is worn for the duration of the service. When addressing the gathering, a speaker may remove his mask but must observe physical distancing of at least 12 feet at all times. Ensure that members with underlying health conditions, children under the age of 12, pregnant and nursing women, adults over 70 years old, individuals with disabilities, and those who might not be able to wear a mask for the duration of the service remain at home until further notice. Church leaders over 70 years old required to officiate in a service will be exempted. Sanitize the building before each service. Frequently touched areas must be carefully sanitized before, during, and after service. All cleaning products must be used according to the directions on the labels. All cleaners must follow guidelines from the Ministry of Health. Masks and gloves must be used by cleaners at all times. Ensure that transportation arrangements are in place to ensure that the individuals leave immediately after the service. The national regulations must be used to determine the number of individuals from different homes who can share a vehicle and the seating arrangements. Announce to the hearing of all members present at each service, before, during, and at the end, the hygiene, sanitation, and physical distancing protocols to be followed. Ensure physical contact among individuals is not allowed. Use stationary boxes for collection of tithes and offerings. Ensuring a distance of 6 feet is maintained between those who are going to the box. Ensure a protocol is established for handling money. 6 feet physical distancing must be maintained and hands must be sanitized immediately. Ensure that physical distancing is observed where communion services are held. Ensure that microphones and podiums are not shared. Each person must be assigned to a microphone or podium for a duration of the service, and it must be sanitized immediately after the service. Avoid the use of AC units, air conditioning units. Keep all windows and doors open during the service if possible. Ensure services do not last more than 90 minutes. An additional 30 minutes will be allowed to facilitate the departure of anyone, and more than one service can be held on the same day. However, there must be at least 90 minutes between each service to facilitate proper sanitizing of the venue. Assign a member in each service to monitor the observation of all protocols. A copy of the protocols must be made available to them. Now, these are the guidelines. You will judge for yourself if that sounds like dictatorship.
Well, I've said it, I've heard it before, and I've said it. It is a matter of safety. It is a matter of helping to guide. But it is a document that derived from discussions with church leaders and the minister. So there you had it. They agreed to all of that. And all it's simply saying is, look, reminding people, you should stick these things up, remind people that they need to wash their hands, sanitize before you come in. We have been hearing that from the day we heard the word COVID. From the day we heard about the coronavirus, we've been hearing about sanitize, wash hands regular. So they're trying to ensure. It's a similar thing they've done to work sites where construction has now reopened up. And they said, look, apply to the ministry. We'll send someone to look at the site to ensure that you have a washing depot, as they call it, or a place where the workers has running water and soap where they can wash it. And ensure that you provide masks for your workers. Ensure that you provide a hand sanitizer. So throughout the day, as they touch different things and they can sanitize themselves. It's for safety. It is to guide them from the possibility of catching COVID-19. No, you see, I think some people forget or think probably because different sectors are beginning to open up. The beaches are open up now for a couple of hours and people can go and have a sea bath. Authority is given or permission is given so you can take a little walk with your family. Grocery stores and supermarkets are open every day now. So it's probably getting into the head and to the minds of people, well, this thing is over. This thing is far from over.
Yeah.
That is why regulations now say once you're leaving your house, you must wear a mask. That will become law. That's the new normal. Because we just don't know. So, as Minister mentioned, there are some carriers of the virus who are what they call asymptomatic.
Yeah.
They show absolutely no sign.
And we've had a few of those here.
Of course we had a few. The young girl, 8-year-old, was asymptomatic. She showed no sign. She was tested, found positive, and of course she came from a family where they had a case and what have you. So the point I'm trying to drive home is we cannot let our guards down. We cannot destroy the good gains we already had. So when guidance is being given, it is being given for the purpose of safeguarding our people.
Of course. And we have our first caller for the morning. Good morning, caller.
Miss Campbell, Miss Campbell.
Miss Duncan.
Miss Duncan, Miss Cammy. Well, like, I tell you, I'm getting senile. And good morning to Mr. Bola.
You're not getting senile, Miss
Good morning, Mr. Bola. You might not like what I have to say this morning.
We're listening.
Mr. Bola and Miss Duncan, morning.
Morning.
And we're talking about the churches. The churches is with the people.
Yes.
It's not a building.
Right.
And Mr. Bola and Miss Duncan. And a lot of born-again believers in Grenada, they get worse. Some of them get worse.
Yes.
I'm telling you, Mr. Bola,
Listening.
I live in Boucherjou.
Yes.
And I had to take medication that I cannot take it for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to walk. And some of the born-again Christians and some of the pastors, I know them. Mr. Bola, they passing straight. They passing straight. They're not even slowing down and say, well, I knew it far. You supposed to be a role model for me to follow.
Yes.
You as a born again Christian have to be a role model for me. When I see how you living, I will take a page from your book.
Yes.
They get selfish. But they're telling you, put the money, the tithe. They give you a number to go and donate the money. All the sudden is the money.
Yes.
Sister Bola.
Yes.
And Sister Duncan. I don't care who read this morning. I know me God. I don't talk to me God. I don't go in and give them no collection. I don't go in no church again. What? I insane.
Yes.
I insane. And I'm walking to go and get an injection because I do well. I get small.
You lost some weight.
Because Bola, them born again Christians, they get worse.
We had to pray
They
for
get
them.
so bad.
We had to pray for them still.
What? You're still praying? I don't spray.
Yeah, pray for them.
I don't spray. I don't spray and I do not know. I don't only pray because of this thing they have in the wall.
Yeah.
I've been praying years. But I'm just telling you, the thing.
Yes.
A Grenadian.
Yes.
They're passing in front of me door. If even I don't talking to you, you won't say good morning and on your Saturday reach and Sunday morning reach. Everybody goes to church. And we say we're a Christian nation. Are crying out for help, for transportation, to go and get me medication. Not one of them born again Christian. Not one of them believers say, well, let me make arrangement to get a transportation to help the sister. Not one. Or you don't like people, or you like the money, and are you want to dress too much to go to church. I don't go to none of you and get away like.
Some of them might be listening, Miss Kami, and they may change. They may change.
Why I call.
They may
change. I know they're listening.
Yes, they may
I don't
change.
go in and shake hands with none of you again.
Well, you shouldn't
When
shake
you
hands
see me
now.
now, listen, let me say what I say. When you see me continue passing straight, if even things come back normal in the world, pass me straight. We want another keeper. We need each other.
Yep.
The whole world changed, Brother Bola.
Yes, it does.
And everybody.
Yes.
And next thing, I want to thank, you see, Peter?
Yes.
I want to thank that guy.
Yes.
And that man have a responsibility, his family, his grandchildren. You see that boy?
Yes.
That boy, that man calling you, that man wants to know if everything all right
Yes.
with you.
Yes.
That is people that care about people. They care.
Yes.
And I tell them when they call in my house, Brother Bula,
Yes.
don't call me to make hypocrite. Call to find out if I'm all right. Sometimes one phone call you want to hear somebody wants to make you all right.
Yes.
I want to thank Mr. Watt in America, Ian in Canada, Patty in Canada, and all Deputy and all the Grenadians, and Miss Arlene, all the people in Canada that are looking out for me, and they will always say something for Miss Cammy. And the people in Grenada, they passing you straight. Remember who is one. Mr. Prime Minister, good morning and God bless you. Your food basket will never empty. You will always have food. See, have a blessed day, Grenada.
Thank you, Miss
I'll let
Cammy.
out what I have to let out.
All
I
right.
want to dead with that on my conscience.
All right. You and
Bye-bye.
I know. Take good care. Enjoy the rest
Yes,
of your
Mr.
day.
Bola.
Yes.
And you do what you're doing.
Okay, we
Continue
will.
to do good. Don't do bad.
Yes.
Continue to do good.
Yes.
That you are children and God going to bless you for
Thank
what
you.
you're doing.
Thank
and
you.
also to Peter.
Thank you.
Watch. Before I go, you know
Yes.
the reason why? They go lock me up if anybody says anything when I want Peter out. I cut them. That
Me-
guy is a good guy and I want them to know that. Instead of saying bad, say good.
Say good. I
Say good
agree.
things, people.
I
But good
agree.
people. Have a blessed day, sir.
Have a
And Miss
blessed day
Duncan,
yourself. Thank
have
you
a
for
blessed day,
calling.
one and all.
Take care.
too.
Take care.
Mr. Vola, before you chime in on that, those last words that Miss Cammy spoke were so powerful. We need each other. And sometimes we spend so much time talking negative, focusing on the negative, gossiping and spreading propaganda. And we get so excited about the negative and we don't get so excited about positive things. And you know, the Bible speaks about blessing people that hurt you. And I want to read it quickly. Coming off of a day of prayer, it's very suffice, and especially based on what Miss Cammy said, and it just popped up to me, and it says, "Bless those who hurt you, bless them, and do not call down curses on them. Be joyful to those who are joyful. Be sad with those who are sad. Agree with each other. Don't be proud. Be willing to be a friend to people who aren't considered important. Don't think that you are better than others. Don't pay back evil with evil. Be careful to do what everyone thinks is right." And I really want to stress on that part. Be careful to do what everyone thinks is right. All right. It goes further to say, if possible, live in peace with everyone. Do that as much as you can. My friends, don't try to get even. Leave room for God to show his anger. It is written, I am the one who judges people. I will pay them back, says the Lord. Do just the opposite. Scripture says, if your enemies are hungry, give them food to eat. If they are thirsty, give them something to drink. By doing these things, you will pile up burning coals on their heads. Don't let evil overcome you. Overcome evil by doing good.
And that last part came from Proverbs.
From Proverbs.
25,
Yes.
21 to 22. Don't let evil overcome you. Overcome evil by doing good. But the first part, what you read, came from Romans, right?
Yes.
Romans, yes. So, there you have it. We do have preachers in here as well. So, So, what we are saying, and that really, really dovetail into all that we have been saying.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about taking control. It's not about being in charge, but it's about trying to encourage people to do the correct thing.
Yeah.
Because you see, you have to, as a leader, as the leaders of this nation, have vision for down the road. You cannot be myopic in your view. Yeah. It cannot be just for today. It cannot be just for now. For those who can only see the tip of their nose, they will fail.
Yeah.
And you remember, the same Bible speaks about where the leaders have no vision, the people would perish.
The people will perish.
So the government and the people that are putting the protocols in place knows that there is a very, very, very great possibility that if we let our guards down, if we start behaving as though there's never been COVID-19, we start going everywhere without wearing masks, we want to gather and have parties, beach lime, house parties, going to dances, gathering at the bars again. We're not saying never ever again. I don't know that, but it will take a while.
Yeah.
And government will assess the situation. The authorities will continue to test and look down the line. And that's why everything is coming in phase.
Yeah.
But we have a responsibility as the people. Now the Prime Minister and the Minister of Health cannot go into every home and make sure that the children and the parents put a mask on their face every time they're going out.
Yeah.
They can tell you that you have to do that. And they will go as far as to make it a law. So you can be charged if you don't do it. So much to protect yourself. Some people say, oh, well, they go charge because the government want to make money. You think the government want to just charge you just to make money? The government wants you to do what's correct because it is a burden for the state.
It is.
When you get sick.
It is.
When a young, productive person gets sick and die, the state has lost. Yes, the family members has lost. That person may have been a mother or a father, an aunt or an uncle. But the state loses because young, productive people who are supposed to be producing for the economy to grow is passing away.
Yeah.
And so government is trying to avoid that. When the ambulance has to travel around the country to pick up sick people and take them to hospital and isolate them, provide them with meals and security, and provide protective garments for the attendees to attend to them at the hospital. It is a cost to the state.
Yeah.
It is a cost to the people of this country. Because your tax dollar that should be repairing a road or repairing a house for someone whose housing situation is bad, or trying to get other equipments and medication for the hospital, repairing a school, or buying books or other equipment for the school, would have to go towards helping to heal that person and bring them back to normalcy.
Yeah.
But if we can avoid them from getting sick in the first place, we would avoid all the other consequences down the road.
Absolutely.
So let's look at things through the proper lens. Remember, not because people think it is right. Be careful what you do.
Yeah. Not because it's popular.
Yes.
Not because it's
Somebody
popular.
had a mantra like that. We do what is right and
not what's popular.
Doing what's
Let's
correct.
take this call. Good morning,
Good
caller.
morning.
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
Yeah, Mr. Buller.
Morning there.
Okay. Mr. Buller, sometimes I ask myself, why people waste their energy? Energy speaking of, I said a lot of negative things that they cannot grow, that can help them, things that will not bring development to them. Because you have a government which is you elect to protect people. And the government is not doing anything without by themselves. If you have to look at the construction, when you talk about the open the construction, you have where they collaborate with the construction committee, now with the churches, and they put guidelines. They put guidelines for the reopening of the church, and this is the right way we have to go. So, and also that when you listen to people, the people that don't say, well, they don't know better, they know better. I ask myself, what guidelines are they giving to the household as fathers or mothers? Are they encouraging children to obey the protocol of the World Health Organization? So if you encourage the children to do it, why, when the government do it, you have a problem? I see these people who criticize the government for doing what is right, they don't care about people, and they don't even care about themselves. Because what I can say, you have to love your neighbor as you love yourself, or whatever you like for yourself, you should like it for others too. So I believe I know what the government doing is right, because we're still in the process. We're still there. We know what the woods yet. We're still there. So then we have to obey the guidelines of the World Health Organization to save people's lives. As the World can say, obedience is better than sacrifice. We have to obey instruction. I call upon the people. Let us come together to fight that. If we come together to fight the coronavirus, we will be victorious. Because the government are there to protect the church people. Is the Grenadian people. Right? So they are doing what is right, as Mr. Bola said at the time. he didn't do what is popular, but he doing what is right. And the government is doing what is right for the Grenadian people because they care and they love the Grenadian people. So, Mr. Buller, God have blessed you and have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Thank you for your contribution. We appreciate.
You know what we usually see? We see a lot of criticisms, a lot of, oh, this is not the right thing to do, and this is backfire, and I'm still waiting for that backfire. You know, a lot of people criticize government, and a lot of people spend time focusing on the negativity in everything, that they can never see the positivity. I don't even think they have the capacity to see positivity anymore. Because when you look at their pages and you look at their lives, they've dedicated so much time to trashing and propaganda and criticism that you cannot see one iota of positivity that has emulated from whatever it is that they are doing. And you know it because you see it on their pages and you hear it in their voices, and it's the topic of their conversations, and it's very sad. And I often say that on this program, because there are a lot of programs out there that are very dedicated to sharing negativity. They base their whole hour and 2 hours on trashing Dr. Mitchell and trashing the New National Party and trashing the administration and trashing any policies and protocols that they come up with. And sometimes I wonder if they sit down every day and all they do is nitpick at all of the negativity that they can find and put it in a basket and sit and say, well, which negative thing am I going to speak about today? You know? And I wonder, how can somebody live their lives in such a way that their whole being is focused on just being negative and sharing propaganda and wishing for the downfall of an individual or an administration? How do you sleep at night, you know? That had to burn your chest. I mean, to me, if I vex for more than a couple hours, I start to feel sick. You know, literally, physically sick. I'm drained and I'm stressed. So I wonder, the people who spend years and years and years of just being negative, of just trying to pull down an individual and pull down an institution and pull down an administration, how do you guys feel? How do you guys cope with all of that negativity? I don't think I could handle it, you know. And that is why I focus on being positive. That is why I focus and especially try to focus and steer this program as much as possible down the positive lane, because we need a little bit of positivity in our lives. We need to hear about the good things that's happening in Grenada. We need to hear about some of the good things that are going on, the opportunities that are available for us. We need to hear that. All we hearing is government don't do this and government don't do that and thief and lie, and that's all we hear from those other programs.
Yes, Ms. Duncan, you also have to recognize that some of the people who make those comments fully well understand, recognize, and knows that what the government is doing is the correct thing and it's going down the correct path. But they will not accept because of who is doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, we have people like that.
Yep.
It is right because this person do it. It is wrong, the exact same thing, because someone who they dislike, they have a disdain for, they hate with such passion, is the one who has done it. So it becomes the wrong thing.
Yeah.
It won't work. It is all negative. So we have to understand sometimes, even in those comments, it is not simply because they believe it is not correct or it won't work. It is simply because they do not like the people who are implementing those things.
Yeah.
You know, it took me a while to accept that. I didn't want to believe it's happening. But there are some people who are utterly angry. They are mad. They are angry that the authorities have taken the steps that they took, and that together with the medical professionals, we have been able to manage and handle COVID-19 like we did.
Mm-hmm.
There are some people that wish that nothing positive ever came out.
Yeah.
And then you ask yourself, are these people with Grenadian blood flowing in their veins, wishing that our own brothers and sisters would suffer simply because they think they will score some points that will make them politically stronger in their mind? or people will get an opportunity to criticize and say, we told you so.
Yeah.
So it is not simply because they are convinced what is being done by the administration is so bad. They know it is the correct thing. They know it is the best thing.
Yeah.
But they cannot accept it because there's so much venom and hate that they just cannot accept that good is done. Hence the reason they cannot accept that we should give thanks and praise that the government and the churches came together and organized a day to pray and say, thank you, Lord, for your deliverance.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hatred. It can make you so bitter. you can get so dark that you won't even see what's before you. And that is why we have to lighten up ourselves. We have to forgive and forget.
Yeah.
You don't have to agree with everything that the government do. You don't even have to like the administration. You don't have to be the friend of Dr. Mitchell or Minister Steele or Minister Pierre or any other minister, as a matter of fact. But you also don't have to hate to the extent that it will blind you from seeing what is right from wrong.
But also, Mr. Bola, a very important point that I want to bring up, and it's been on my mind, and I feel like I need to say it. And what better place to say it? There are some people in Grenada who outright lack respect, and it is upsetting. And I want to appeal to all of the hosts and media personnel of different programs to stop this disrespect from happening. No, I cannot understand. I don't see it. I was not brought up in that way, and maybe even they themselves were not brought up in that way. But because it is becoming such a trend, they feel like they need to jump on the train as well. And that disrespect is in the form of not addressing people in their proper titles and by their proper names. So, for example, you would go on a public radio program or so on that's not only being listened to in Grenada but around the world, and you would refer to your prime minister as Keith Mitchell, or you would refer to a minister of government in a derogatory manner. And it must stop. It is disrespectful. I don't care, to be honest, if you don't like them. I don't care if you don't agree with them, but you have to respect the institution that they represent. You understand? So you have people calling on to the point, and you have people calling on beyond the headlines and so on, in informed discussions referring to their prime minister as Keith Mitchell, in his capacity as prime minister as Keith Mitchell. And I find it very disrespectful. And as hosts and media personnel, while we too may have our political objectives and so on, at the same time, there must be respect given. There must be respect given. And I wish that the office of the Prime Minister would write these talk shows and so on and ask them to refrain or have people refrain from doing that. And there's nothing wrong in saying, please do not refer to the Prime Minister in that way, or please do not refer to this person in that way. There's nothing wrong in saying that. Saying that doesn't mean that you're saying that you support their party or that you support their idea. It's just basic respect. For example, you can't walk into a classroom, or a student can't walk into a classroom and refer to their teacher as "Hey Mary" or "Hey Jones." That could never happen. Some of you cannot even walk into your own workplace. I can't walk into the workplace and say "Hey Bola." You understand?
You can, but it just won't work out right for you.
You understand? Some of them cannot walk into their own workplace and refer to their bosses by their names just like that without saying Mr. or Mrs. or Sir or Ma'am. But yet for all, the person that leads and guides our country, that represents an entire institution, is being referred to openly on air, public radio and television, as Keith Mitchell. And I find a very big problem with that. And I mean, I don't understand how more people don't see that as a problem. But for me, it is a very big problem. It means that you lack the basic respect to even acknowledge the fact that the man is an institution. And that is very disappointing. For those of you who don't agree, you'd have to explain to me why you don't agree. But I dare any one of them today or tomorrow to walk into their workplace and call their boss Bula. Good morning.
Well, I don't have no workers. So anybody could call me that way. But, you know, the point you're making goes to show sometimes, similar to what I said before, that we have such deep-seated hatred in us for individuals that we cannot even respect the position they hold and the institution from where they function. And it takes nothing from us. What it does is add.
Yeah.
By we showing that we can follow protocol, we can respect those who we have to, and we just follow the rules and regulations.
Yeah.
Do you have another call?
Yeah, we have a call on the line. Good morning, caller.
Oh, yes, good morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning, how are you?
Not too bad. How do you do?
I'm good.
Right, and good morning to Mr. Bula.
Good morning to you, sir.
And should I call him your guest or your co-host?
My co-host, I prefer that.
Well, I tell you, he has two hearts. Good day, sir.
Good day to you,
It's
sir.
always heartening hearing you.
Thank you.
You know? I wish sometime I could join you in my efforts, but I'll come at you just.
I prefer you come with me. Don't come at me.
I just want to register. It's taking us a little while to register. We're coming there.
Yes.
When we register, we're going to come with you.
Okay.
No, I said to you, sir, I don't know how much of the science you have. I don't think I knew you when you was in custom. I understand you were there.
Yes, I spent a couple of years.
I don't think that's the place you were supposed to be. You were supposed to be beyond custom.
Yes.
Because what you're dispensing, custom didn't deserve you.
All right.
Right? But I don't know. I have a problem, Miss what you call this lady, your host?
Miss Duncan.
Miss Duncan. Mm-hmm.
No, I'll tell you something. I listen to you and I give you some credit also for the way you handle the programs, right? But I don't know. I want to support you, ma'am, because it upsets me. I work with about 7 or 8 governments within my stint with government, and no one could ever say I disrespected them. No one, including my Prime Minister Dong. I interact with many ministers of government and Prime Ministers by way of a letter. I think Mr. Bula has some letters from me too.
Yes.
But I'm very careful in what I say and careful in what I write. So I will never drag anybody down. Don't care who you are. But I don't know how much of a political scientist you are, how much science you have in politics. But over the years, I discover that whilst the politician dispense what you call the political science, the people below them doesn't understand the science of the politics. And so when the politicians interact on that hostile way sometimes to each other, the immediate occasion, behind the scene there are different people. But the followers does not see that. And I think that's where we're having the problem, where people doesn't understand the science of politics. And they are more politicians than the politicians themselves, because they don't understand the science of the politics which the politician dispense. And so I'm saying that people like Mr. Bowler and others have a job on their hands to show people outside that, look, this is politics. This is not politics. We are using the science of politics in many situations and tell them the science of politics, because science and politics sometimes, science is maybe a little rhetoric, a deviation from what you should do or what you didn't do, etc. And if the supporters does not understand that, and they listening to the politicians say, okay, yes, because the politicians say that yes, that's what they mean, and we should do X, Y, Z to protect them, and they damage the politician. So the politicians have a responsibility to say to the followers, look, we are politicians, and the way you see we behave, it's not any enmity. We behave that way because that is a stage, but we will not allow you to take over from us. To be that. And that's where we have the problem, that people are disrespecting politicians because of the position they hold in terms of where they are, in terms of the colours. Well, I support this party and he support this party. So we're supposed to be enemies. And it's not supposed to be that way. I interact with every single person. Don't care what political position you follow. I could interact with anybody. I will never pick up anything. But my thing is based on a different premise. My thing is based on economic development, people's development. So I toe that line. Don't care who you are. So I don't go into what you call the political aspect which will cause me to be rhetorical. I don't do that. So I'm asking Mr. Bowler, yes, it is very hurtful when I hear the names being called to our leader. It hurts me too. And sometimes I do a little correction with some of my good friends or so. But it is really annoying. It is really annoying. And it's not only here, it goes throughout the world. And is that the way they think or behave to the Prime Minister? The Prime Minister? This is not just an ordinary person. He's your Prime Minister. He's at that level. So don't see the man, see the office. Respect
It's the office
of the man.
Yes.
The man is a brilliant man, and even you should respect his brilliance, his education, his background. Respect that. But respect the office.
Yeah.
So you don't have to like the man or support his party to respect him.
Yeah.
And I just be very, very upset when I hear certain people saying certain things that I know they could do better than that. It hurts me too. But I'm asking you, please, the rhetoric of politics is what we have to tell the people outside it, because they're following the rhetoric. Strictly that the politician may give some time, and they take that and run with it. And that's not what the politician means.
Yeah.
So I want to leave that to you, Mr. Bowler. You have something on your hand, but I wish you all the best, sir.
All right.
Have a great day.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, the caller is right. Even if you don't respect the man, even if you don't like the man, you have to respect the office that he holds, you know. And I mean, this is not no attack on any particular media host or any particular program. It's basically a clarion call to everyone, and not just any program, but people as well. We have to start respecting offices. You know, we have to start respecting portfolios. Because if we as individuals show blatant disrespect for the office of the Prime Minister, how do we expect our children to even show respect to, I mean, a teacher or somebody in society? So it just goes to show that respect is what is needed. Good morning, caller. Hello. Good morning, caller. Hello, good morning. I don't seem to be getting that caller, but we have another caller on the line. Good morning, caller.
Yes, good morning.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
What, Miss Duncan?
Hi.
Mr. Bola?
Mr. Bola stepped out. Sorry.
What? Mr. Bola?
No, he's not there. He stepped out.
Step out?
Yeah, he stepped out of the studio.
But, oh gosh, is he really wanted to chat with you?
Well, he'll be back. If you call at 12, call back after the program is finished, and we'll see how we can arrange for you to speak with him.
Well, you know who's speaking here?
Yes, I do.
Up to now, nothing is working out yet, you know?
Well, you would definitely have to speak to Mr. Bola.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
All right.
So, at 12 o'clock, call back?
Call back at 12 when the program is over.
Well, right. Just let you answer, please, eh?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to respect, just give respect where respect is due. You understand? Because these are the same individuals, when they get into office, they will not like if somebody refers to them in a derogatory manner. They would want to demand the same respect that they do not give, you know? So we have to start having respect. And I felt like I needed to bring this up this morning because every single time I hear it, it irks me. You know, I cannot stand it at all to hear people just referring to our Prime Minister and to our ministers of government in such a derogatory manner. And your boss in your office, you cannot speak to like that, or you cannot refer to like that. Or the teacher in the school, you don't want your child to refer to like that. Or we expect our children to respect us and respect people in society, but we ourselves lack the basic respect. I mean, come on. You have to give to get, right? We have another call on the line. Hi, Miss Cammy. Hello. Hello. Oh no, she don't seem to be hearing me. Miss Cammy, if you're listening, you have to listen on the phone when you call me, right? Because there's always a delay on the radio. All right? So you have to listen on the phone when you call. Good morning, caller.
Miss Duncan, if I was close to you, I'd have shake your hand. Miss Duncan, no. I'd have stuck straight up. Miss Duncan, they have no respect for the office of the Prime Minister. That big head man, I don't call him name, that Dan Radio, he calling the Prime Minister all name. All name. And you're right. I have listened to all the programs. On the point, and Jillian, some of them, they just call him up. They have no respect. You must have respect for the man if you don't like him. For the office he holds, my God. Eh? And the people that calling him all name, it is people that forget. They forget what that man did for them. That was hurting me. That has hurt me. They forget. He sent them to school. He helped some of them. And you have a lot of Grenadians that is they're ungrateful. You don't like the Prime Minister, but give him his respect.
You're right. You're very right.
Give him a respect.
Yeah. I know I was waiting for your call, Miss Cammy. I know you would have called back and say something.
Yes.
Because I know it burns you.
They don't respect what the Prime Minister told. They're calling him all kind of names. I don't want to read 40 names of scholars, man. And that has hurt me.
Yeah.
All names they're calling the man. Look at the opposition leader now. He called him a dictator. You did in office with him all the years. You just know he's a dictator. The hypocriteness. The hypocriteness with them. You understand? They have no respect for that man. And now it was the revolution and that might be sometime. They are jailed some of them. The Prime Minister is too soft.
Yeah.
He's too soft. You understand? They are jacket ways. They go in all funeral man jacket. When they go and take a jacket and he tie in the closet in a field. They're too ungrateful. Have respect for the office you own. You like him or not?
Yeah.
Have a good day.
You too. Yeah, there are a lot of people who have been talking about this lately, about having respect for the office of the Prime Minister and respect for the office. The man is an institution. You have to respect the institution. You understand? And then we wonder why we have so much issues with our children who are listening to us in conversation. Remember, children may not look like they're paying attention, but they pay more attention to what we say than the person that we are actually talking to. And they listen to us and they hear the things that we say, you know. And you have to understand that a child will emulate what you show them. So if you show them that this means nothing to you, this person does not deserve your respect, and that is why in some cases you have children going to school and not respecting their teachers because of what parents say at home about teachers. They may not say it to the children. They may be in conversation with their significant other or with some family friend or friend on the phone. And the child is listening to that. And you find your child going to school and your child saying all kind of things to the teacher and you're wondering where it come from. It didn't fall out of the sky. They learned it from you. They learned it from us. You have to respect. And I remember in days as a child, it don't matter if your parents vex with somebody. You can't pass that person in the road and vex too. That is not your business. You understand? It's not your business. Because your parents teach you that regardless of how they may feel about a certain person, regardless of the situation, if it doesn't involve you, you must respect that person. And we are lacking a lot of respect. I look at a lot of social media posts and a lot of things. And just basic respect, we don't respect each other as people. You know, and I look at a lot of these things. I mean, I've been called a lot of names on Facebook. People who say you have to sing for your supper. People who say that you're drinking green Kool-Aid. People who say that I'm only talking because I'm being paid to talk. As if my common sense didn't work before all of this happened. You know, you think I just woke up one morning and was educated? You think I just woke up one morning and I was literate? No, it doesn't happen like that. Some people are very intelligent. Some people have a lot of great opinions, a lot of great ideas, and are not provided the platforms to use them. I was only fortunate that this platform was available to me. But it doesn't mean that because of this platform is the reason why I say the things I say. You know? So we have to be careful in how we address people, even individuals. You don't belittle somebody because you've been in a position that has exposed you to more people or exposed you to more situations or has put you in a place where you are called sir or where you are being saluted or you know, you don't belittle people because of that. Everyone is given opportunities based on their gifts, based on what they're exposed to. It doesn't mean that they deserve less respect. Everyone deserves the same respect. And we must give people the respect that is due to them. You know, so when I go on social media, sometimes I don't even want to interact on social media because the level of disrespect it's so real. And it's your own people, you know, people that you either grow up with, people that you see every day in communities, people that don't even know you have some of the worst things to say about you. And it's just because we don't respect each other as people. We don't see the value in each other. While you might be valuable in one place or in one career or in one situation, I may be more valuable in another. We may not all fit the same scope. We may not all fit the same, the same scheme. We may not even be valued on the same scale. But the fact of the matter is we are all valuable in some way or the other. And we must all respect that. Look at the people who you were looking down on. The cashiers in supermarkets were one of the most valuable people coming to COVID-19. You know, the sanitation workers that we look down on, they became some of the most valuable people during COVID-19. And these are the things that we must take into consideration, that we are all valuable in our own way. We have another caller on the line. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
How are you?
I'm good.
I'm just calling to find out about what it is we have to do. Like, I was working in a place for 3 years and the people closed their doors. And they were talking about NIS on employment benefits.
Right.
I just want to know what it is we have to do, because when I went there sometime last week, finding out if there is a form or something, they said, you have nothing for that. The lady at the desk told me that.
Well, I want to approach this carefully because I don't have all of the information, but I do have information that can help. Now, I know that they would have started paying unemployment benefits they will start at least at the end of May, right? Now, once you are employed and your employer has been paying your NIS contributions, right? And of course, from your salary and from theirs, you are eligible to receive unemployment.
Yeah.
That is if your business has been affected, you have not been working, and so on.
Yeah.
Now, I know that they are setting up an online platform in which you can apply for that benefit, right? How that is being done as of this moment as I'm speaking to you, I am not 100% certain. So I don't want to give you the wrong information. I'm not sure where the girl at the desk got her information, but this is coming from the communications officer who recently, she had an interview and there was a press release, I believe, regarding NIS payments, right? If you call me back after the program, I'll take your name and your number. I will get some information for you and try to help as best as I can.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Have a great day.
You too.
Yeah, I mean, we have to help in ways that we can, right? This is what this is all about. And we have to understand that each and every individual in Grenada, each and every person in every class, they are important. We ain't sending our own children to study farming. But we're talking about agriculture needs to be put at the forefront, and we need to support agriculture, and we need to support farming, and we need to uplift farming. But we ain't sending our own children to study. We're not sending our own children in the land, and we too good for it. But we are the same ones sitting on our high horses talking about agriculture needs more. But we don't plan to do the more that is needed. Right? In the same breath, we don't send our children to study plumbing, and we don't send our children to study carpentry and masonry. We don't send our children to study these things because to us, we believe that those are low-class jobs. But without a carpenter, how would your house be built? How would there be development? Without a plumber, how would your pipe be fixed? You know? So we look down on people in society. We look down our noses at some people. We don't see the value in what they do because we feel in ourselves that we are in some way or the other more important or of a higher standard or that we are, I want to use the right word, a little too highfalutin for our own good, you know. But we have to see the value, and we have to respect every individual because respect doesn't see class, you know. Respect is not dependent on where you are in society and what accolades are attached to your name and what you've achieved and where you live and how you speak. That is not what respect is about. Respect doesn't see class and category. Respect should be across the board. Respect is something that should be given to everyone, free of cost, because it's the right thing to do. Because at the end of the day, each and every single one of us will either become a parent or be responsible for somebody, or even in ourselves would want someone to respect us. You have to have some respect. I want to believe it was a quote or a slang or something that says, put some respect on it. Put some respect on the Prime Minister's name. And I say that with no apology. And if anybody were to ever call this program, and I've made that very clear from the beginning, people can feel how they want about this program. They can call it politically motivated. They can call me politically motivated. They can say what they want about the New National Party. At the end of the day, if you ever call this program and you are out of line, I will let you know. If you post something that is out of line, I will delete it. And I'm making it very clear for those who feel like because we are political, we don't want to hear what they have to say. No, if you say something and you say it respectfully, you can guarantee it stays right there for other people to read and form opinions. But if you are disrespectful, if you come with fire, if you come bearing arms of propaganda and lies and negativity, I will delete it. No, nobody don't need that in their lives. You understand? So I'm making it clear so that people understand. You have to have respect. You have to do it. You know, it's not respect is not a choice. It should be part of your daily living. You can't choose who you respect. You can't choose who you acknowledge. Because at the end of the day, you don't know where your chips will fall. You don't know who you are going to need to lean on. And people need people. If people didn't need people, then everybody would have been able to exist on their own. But we cannot. Everybody needs somebody. And at some point in time, the same teacher that you're degrading, that same teacher is going to need to teach your child. The same carpenter that you look your nose down at is the same carpenter that might be employed to build your house, or the same carpenter that may be employed to fix your roads, or the same carpenter that may be employed to do renovations in the office that you work in. You need these people. The same sanitation workers that you look down your nose at. If they were not around, what would happen to your garbage? What would you do to get rid of your garbage? You know, everyone is important. Everybody deserves respect. It is time for us as Grenadians to put away all of the negativity, to stop letting our lives be fueled by anger and hate and propaganda and dislike and disdain. It's time for us to put all of that aside and start looking at the positive things that we have going for us in Grenada. Sometimes we may not agree on everything, and that's okay. It's okay for us to disagree. It's okay for us to have heated conversations, heated debates on different matters. I would get into any debate and any conversation with anyone as long as I can hold my own. But what I will never do is disrespect anyone or make anyone feel less simply because you hold a degree higher, or simply because your office is higher than mine, or because you worked in or because you've worked in some prestigious office. Doesn't make you a better person than me. We are all cut from the same cloth. We all deserve the same level of respect. Because in our own fields, we are all gods and goddesses. We are all essential in our fields. The situation is what determines when you will be needed. But we are all essential. Let us not forget that. Guys, we have come to the end of our program for today. As I always say, it's always a pleasure speaking with you. Remember, on Wednesday, we're supposed to have our Minister for Agriculture, who will be speaking more with us on what we can do to help improve the agriculture product. As individuals, as Grenadians, what can we contribute to ensure that our agriculture product is bigger and better? I'm also hoping to speak with the Minister of Tourism this week so we can start discussing the way forward. How do we improve the tourism product of Grenada? Because remember, when this is all said and done, when we open up our borders, everybody is going to be battling in the region for who can deliver the best tourism product to get their sectors up and running. We need to see what we can do in Grenada to get that started. What little ideas do we have that we can put into play? And with the GDP offering $40,000 at 3%, I mean, even I want to start a small business, you know? So let's start seeing what we can do as a people to contribute positivity and positive growth to our country. Guys, it's a pleasure speaking with you. In whatever you say and whatever you do, be safe and be secure. I always want to be talking with you and never about you. Please do enjoy the remainder of your day.
Stay up to date with all that's happening with the new National Party, NNP. Send us a message via text or WhatsApp on 405-8683 with your name, email, and constituency. Stay in the know with NNP. Get updated.
5 things you need to know about self-isolation. Stay home. If you are told to self-isolate, it means staying at home, not going to work, school, or other public places, and you should not have any visitors. Separate yourself. If you live with others, then you need to stay in a well-ventilated bedroom with the door shut. If you have to share a bathroom, then use it after everyone else. Don't share towels and toiletries, as this may put others at risk. Call ahead. If you develop symptoms such as a fever or cough, then seek advice first by calling the Ministry of Health's hotline at 538-4787 or 458-4787. Please do not show up at a medical center or hospital, as this may put others at risk. Take care with waste. If you test positive, your waste should be double bagged and disposed of separately. Create a buddy system. If you live on your own, you can plan with friends and family to check in with each other and run essential errands if one becomes sick. Once sick, they should leave groceries on the doorstep. Why it's important. COVID-19 causes a mild illness for 4 out of 5 persons. Self-isolating will help protect the older generation and those who may have underlying health problems from getting infected.
I say, nah, man. Wood. Yo, this is the Dan Man Lindy telling you to be COVID-19 safe. Stay home. That way we could play a mass sooner rather than later. Everything will come to pass. You know the tingo. Mass must play. How you mean?
Boom shakalaka, this is Ledneck from the West Point family reminding all Grenadians to be COVID-19 smart. Stay home, it's just for a short time. We will be back on our feet soon, alright? Bless.
COVID-19 spreads from person to person through the droplets that are produced when someone coughs or sneezes, which makes it easy to spread between people in close contact. Now let's get prepared to stay healthy.
To reduce your chance of catching or spreading COVID-19, practice these simple everyday preventative measures. Droplets can also land on surfaces, so ensure that you wash your hands frequently for a minimum of 20 seconds or sing the happy birthday song twice. Avoid touching your face, especially your eyes, nose, and mouth. If soap and water are not readily available, use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer with an alcohol content between 60 and 90%. 70% is ideal.
When you cough or sneeze, cover your nose and mouth with a flexed elbow or a tissue. Dispose of the tissue immediately and then wash your hands. If you notice someone has a fever and cough or other symptoms of respiratory illness, avoid close contact when possible. Let's all do our part to ensure that each and every Grenadian remains healthy. Our health is our collective responsibility.
Grenada confirms the youngest COVID-19 case. Details to this story and more in the National Report. Welcome back. With the details to the news for Friday, May 15th, 2020, I am Sherry-Ann Noel. An 8-year-old girl has been confirmed as Grenada's 22nd laboratory case of COVID-19. Providing an update to the nation on Friday, Health Minister Honorable Nicholas Steele said the girl, who is considered an asymptomatic carrier, is a family member of one of the positive workplace cluster cases. She displays no symptoms but can still transmit the disease.
Thankfully, her family has been in quarantine for the last 2 weeks since their relative was diagnosed. Sisters and brothers, COVID-19 continues to show that it respects no one. It affects the young and the elderly, the black, white, and brown. It has no regard for where you live. No one is immune, and we are all affected differently. For this reason, we must maintain vigilance at all times. The stakes are just too high, too costly, and too deadly.
Minister Steele says they have conducted 2,459 rapid tests and 454 PCR tests to date. Of the 22 confirmed cases on the island, 14 have recovered and 7 are still active but stable. He says Grenada is well ahead per capita in terms of testing, which gives us a solid indication of our COVID-19 status as a nation.
We believe that we have a solid virus tracking strategy, which we have improved on since our first case. This continuous and aggressive contact tracing conducted by our health officials have made a significant difference in this fight. Brothers and sisters, we are at a critical junction in Grenada. Our primary focus continues to be public health and safety, but as a government, we are also trying to balance economic considerations. More businesses are open and more people are out daily. The beaches are accessible once again during the morning hours, and outdoor exercise is now commonplace. It is easy to drop our guards because on the surface, it appears that much is back to normal. But make no mistake, nothing will be normal for months, if not years to come. And we definitely cannot afford to be complacent and lackluster in our engagements.
Moving along, Grenadians will begin receiving unemployment benefits from the National Insurance Scheme NIS later this month. Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, Dr. the Right Honourable Keith Mitchell, gave this assurance on Sunday as he delivered a national address in which he provided updates on the various economic stimulus measures previously announced by the government. The sum earmarked for this particular benefit is $10 million, and it is expected to cushion the fallout being experienced by those who have lost their jobs as a result of COVID-19.
Later this month, the National Insurance Scheme is expected to begin paying unemployment benefits to eligible persons. It is estimated that more than 5,000 persons will receive those benefits disbursed over the next 6 months. The suspension of the 2% increase in NIS payment is already in effect and will cover the period April to June 2020.
When Dr. Mitchell spoke in the House of Representatives in April, presenting the motion for the supplementary estimates, he noted that everyone in some way has been affected by the effects of COVID-19, but the support cannot take the same form for all concerned. In preparing for the rollout of this benefit, the NIS is working with the Attorney General's chambers to make the necessary legislative changes. These are expected to be finalized shortly and publicized in the Government Gazette. The NIS is also undertaking internal preparations, including the creation of a specific unit to deal with unemployment benefits, the training of staff, and making adjustments to the software that will process payments. The Royal Grenada Police Force plans to undertake a post-mortem of the temporary arrangements that were implemented for vehicle inspection at the National Stadium, Guelph, and the Pearls A Strip. Officer in charge of Traffic Department, Randy Carnott, says the operation has surpassed the expectation, and there are now wide calls for a similar model to be permanently implemented.
I must say that this operation surpassed our expectation, and the feedback has been encouraging thus far. The most noted feedback has been the appeal from a wide cross-section of the public to keep this new approach for the inspection. It is something that has been tabled already, and at the end, it will be one of our biggest takeaways. Because when this arrangement comes to an end, and it will come to an end next Friday, this would be followed by a major postmortem, and recommendations would be tabled to the RGPF executive for consideration.
The inspection is into its 6th day, and Superintendent Carnott says the inspection days will be increased in the coming week.
To date, thus far, with the inclusion of Carriacou, we have inspected, we have seen 2,533 vehicles passing the inspection. But we have inspected much more than that because not all of the vehicles visiting the site actually pass the inspection. This is an interim measure, and though there were some challenges experienced by some members of the public, mostly because of the large number of vehicles coming into the inspection center, as I said, we had to adjust along the way, and we will be moving to add more days coming into next week.
One of the vehicle inspection lanes will also be allocated specifically for senior citizens, 65 years and older. This is the National Report. More news after the break.
Protect yourself and our community from COVID-19. Wash your hands frequently with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. If soap and water are not available, use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer with at least 70% alcohol. Use a tissue when blowing your nose, sneezing, or coughing. Immediately discard the tissue properly and wash or sanitize your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Let's do our part to ensure that each and every Grenadian remains healthy. To stay up to date, visit the Government of Grenada's webpage or the Ministry of Health's Facebook page. For more information, contact the Ministry of Health's hotline by calling 53-VIRUS. This has been a public service announcement brought to you by the Ministry of Health.
Welcome back. The Cabinet-approved subcommittees of the Task Force for Rebuilding the Grenadian Economy have met the deadline to deliver their initial reports. In addition to electronic delivery of their reports, the subcommittee chairpersons also met virtually with the Prime Minister, Dr. the Right Honourable Keith Mitchell, on Friday. The reports presented by the committees, which were identified based on the productive sectors of the economy, include an analysis of the current scenario in each sector and recommended actions for the way forward. The chairpersons provided a synopsis of the individual report during Friday's meeting and received feedback on their proposals.
It appears that all the committees have been working, doing a lot of work in taking the assignment and responsibilities very seriously. And they all reported they've been getting very thorough cooperation from all the members of the subcommittees that we have chosen. And that to me is a clear demonstration of the seriousness at which our people have taken this present situation and the need for us to do what we have to do to bring our country back.
Dr. Mitchell said he was very impressed with the work of the subcommittees thus far, and he looks forward to receiving the final reports.
In general, all the reports, I was pretty thorough, pretty deep, and I certainly, it's a good sign of where we are as a country, and I want once again to thank all of them for the enormous contribution they are making at this time.
These subcommittees will continue their discussions and engagement with stakeholders with a view to submitting their final reports in June. The Cabinet will then consider the recommendations and make decisions on the way forward. In a separate development, the International Monetary Fund, IMF, is predicting economic growth of 6.25% for Grenada in 2021. The projection is contained in the latest IMF country report on Grenada, issued after the IMF Executive Board recently approved the disbursement of US $22.4 million for Grenada under the Rapid Credit Facility to help the country deal with the economic impact of COVID-19. Grenadians are being reminded that even while there has been a gradual easing of restrictions, we are still under a state of emergency. That reminder from Superintendent Vannie Kerwin, officer in charge of community relations, during a press conference on Friday. He said even while it was announced that beaches are open for a specified amount of time, rules and regulations must be followed.
The easement of this restriction did not come with the relaxing of the established protocols that we have now become accustomed to. Neither was it an opportunity for our citizens to violate the emergency powers regulation by commencing beach parties and beach fetes. We have seen quite a lot of that this week. Mr. Prince was making the point that easement does not mean we're back to normal. Easement does not mean that what you used to do prior to the state of emergency are now allowed to happen. We are still under a state of emergency. We are still under curfew. And as the country come out of the phase that we are in, easement are being allowed. And it is being allowed for certain things to happen. What is not announced for happening should not happen.
Superintendent Cowan says they have had to deal with a number of issues that violate the rules and regulations. He reiterated the context of Section 9A and B of the Emergency Powers Act, which remains in force.
No person shall host or attend any social activity of any description. Any social activity of any description, including a wedding. That's Section E, 9E. And 9B says, a funeral hosting more than 10 persons, in addition to the officiant and essential mortuary staff. So these are some of the issues we have seen this week. Beach parties, birthday parties, fete, funerals larger than 10 10 persons, and these are services calls we have responded to in this particular week.
And finally, as part of its corporate social responsibility, Republic Bank Limited on Friday officially handed over medical equipment and supplies critically needed for use in the fight against COVID-19 to members of the COVID-19 Response Committee. A presentation was made at Parliament Building on Friday. This donation, valued at US $40,000, is made possible under the bank's social investment vehicle, the Power to Make a Difference program. General Manager of Credit, Ms. Kalawati Brikram Singh, made the presentation to the Ministry of Health and reiterated the bank's commitment to providing support to citizens through various initiatives. She said, and I quote, "This gesture is another step towards addressing some of the immediate needs of our citizens and is in keeping with our parent company, Republic Financial Holdings Limited, initiatives under the Power to Make a Difference program towards both long-term rebuilding efforts and immediate requirements in the fight against COVID-19 across all the territories in which it operates." RFHL has a long history of investing in communities and assisting the most vulnerable amongst us, and this donation is a part of our contribution to assist in this fight, end of quote. Also making a presentation to the Ministry of Health was General Manager of Rubis, Charles Archer. He presented to the Minister of Health 5,000 face masks and 2,000 gloves, totaling $12,000, to be distributed to its frontline workers in the continued fight against COVID-19. And with that story, come to the end of the National Report for Friday, May 15, 2020. Now for a recap of the top story. Grenada confirms the youngest COVID-19 case. On behalf of the entire news and production team, I am Sharian Noel, thanking you for viewing.
COVID-19 protocols for reopening of churches. Responsibilities of heads of local churches. 1. Complete and submit an online application form for the reopening of the church at least 3 days before the scheduled reopening date. A permit, which will be provided by email before the reopening, must be printed and displayed on the door of the church during each session. All forms must be submitted to the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Religious Affairs, and approval will be granted based on approved national protocols and regulations. 2. Calculate the number of attendees to be allowed in the building. The measurement to be used is 36 square feet per person, using the seating space. Markers must be used on benches, and chairs must be placed no less than 6 feet in every direction. 3. Provide for each service appropriate facilities and adequate supplies, not limited to, but including hand-washing facilities, running water, soap, paper towels, hand sanitizer, and disinfectant. A sanitizing station must be set up close to the door for people entering and leaving the building. 4. Establish a separate room in the building or in another location to accommodate an individual or individuals who become sick during the service, displaying any COVID-19 symptoms, until they can safely leave to seek medical attention. 5. Establish visible signs, notices encouraging members to observe the protocols and practices to prevent the spread of COVID-19. 6. Share protocols and expectations with all members before the date of reopening. 7. Limit gatherings to 1 day per week in the first instance. An additional day will be allowed for special liturgical services or regular weekday services. All other weekly activities or services must be conducted remotely at this time. 8. Ensure that all persons entering the building are wearing a mask and that it is worn for the duration of the service. When addressing the gathering, a speaker may remove his mask but must observe physical distancing of at least 12 feet at all times. 9. Ensure that members with underlying health conditions, children under 12 years old, pregnant and nursing women, adults over 70 years old, individuals with disabilities, and those who might not be able to wear a mask for the duration of the service remain at home until further notice. Church leaders over 70 years old required to officiate in a service will be exempted. 10. Sanitize the building before each service. Frequently touched areas must be carefully sanitized before, during, and after each service. All cleaning products must be used according to the directions on the label. All cleaners must follow guidelines from the Ministry of Health. Masks and gloves must be used by cleaners at all times. 11. Ensure that transportation arrangements are in place to ensure that all individuals leave immediately after the service. The national regulations must be used to determine the number of individuals from different homes who can share a vehicle and the seating arrangements. 12. Announce to the hearing of all members present at each service before, during, and after the hygiene, sanitation, and physical distancing protocols to be followed. 13. Ensure physical contact among individuals is not allowed. 14. Use stationary boxes for the collection of tithes and offering, ensuring a distance of 6 feet is maintained between those who are going to the box. Ensure a protocol is established for handling of money. 6 feet physical distancing must be maintained and hands must be sanitized immediately after. 15. Ensure that physical distancing is observed where communion services are held. Individuals involved in distribution must wear gloves and must use hand sanitizers containing at least 70% alcohol. For religions where this applies, sharing of the cup is not allowed at this time. 16. Ensure that microphones and podiums are not shared. Each person must be assigned a microphone and/or podium for the duration of the service, and it must be sanitized immediately after each service. 17. Avoid the use of air conditioning or AC units. Keep all windows and doors opened during the service, if possible. 18. Ensure services do not last for more than 90 minutes. An additional 30 minutes will be allowed to facilitate the departure of everyone. More than one service can be held on the same day. However, there must be at least 90 minutes between each service to facilitate proper sanitizing of the venue. 19. Assign a member or members in each service to monitor the observation of all protocols. A copy of the protocols must be made available to them. Responsibility of Coordinator of Religious Affairs. 1. Ensure that all requests are responded to within 2 working days. 2. Ensure that only applications meeting the protocols approved by the Ministry of Health are permitted. 3. Ensure monitoring systems are in place. Funerals. 1. A maximum of 10 individuals will be allowed to attend funeral services, whether in the church building or at the graveside. 2. All relevant protocols must be observed. Other ceremonies. 1. A maximum of 10 individuals will be allowed to attend weddings, whether at the church or the reception. 2. All relevant protocols must be observed. 3. All other ceremonies, including baptisms, should be suspended until further notice. Opening of church offices. 1. Church offices can be opened to facilitate administrative and counseling services, as well as distribution of supplies to needy people. 2. All protocols must be observed. Violations. Any minister of religion found in violation of the protocols for the reopening of churches will forfeit the opportunity to continue his or her ministry throughout the duration of the declared state of emergency. A new application may be considered under new leadership. Key points for announcements before, during, and after services. 1. Maintain a 6-foot distance at all times. 2. Stay at home if you are sick. 3. Stay at home if an individual or individuals from your household has or have been suspected or were tested positive with COVID-19. 4. Practice proper hygiene protocols. Wash hands often with soap and water for at least 20 seconds, or use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer that contains at least 70% alcohol if soap and water are unavailable. Hand soaps must not be diluted. 5. Cough and sneeze into tissue and discard the tissue right after use into a bin, or if there is no tissue, cough into your inner elbow. Wash your hands after coughing. Individuals must leave the building if they have a persistent cough. 6. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, or mouth with unwashed hands. 7. Avoid close physical contact with others. 8. Wear an appropriate face mask covering your nose and mouth upon entering, while in the building, and when leaving. 9. Stay informed and follow the advice given by the Ministry of Health. Emails concerning the reopening of churches must be addressed to the Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Education. All requests forms must be submitted at least 3 working days prior to the proposed opening date. The email address related to the reopening of churches is religiousafairsgrenada@gmail.com. For further clarification and details, please call the following hotline numbers Mondays to Fridays between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. 458-2580, 410-6832, 458-7371. The Ministry will accept applications from Monday, May 18th, 2020. Please use the link provided in the general correspondence to church leaders to complete the form.